So in some sad twist of fate, I lost all the second half of my video, so we're going to redo it here for you. Welcome to part 2. All right. So in this particular spreadsheet here, I show a relationship between the price of the token and the reflection and the burn, and what happens as the price increases, what must necessarily happen to the volume in order to maintain the burn rate. Okay, so this spreadsheet goes back. I did this as kind of an early on video. It looks like around September 28th-ish. I did this one, but originally there were 100 quadrillion Saitama tokens. They burned half the supply, and since then we're working on burning another 6%. Now, what's happening in this spreadsheet is, as a person spends $10,000 at different given prices, what would the amount of tokens burned and the reflections be? So this is 905. If we spent $10,000, we would be buying 20 trillion. And because there's 2% burn and 2% reflection, the amount that would be getting burned or in reflections would be 400 billion. Okay. As the price increases, that $10,000 buys fewer tokens, and therefore 2% of that token count is less. Okay, so we're currently in a scenario where we are 7 zeros, 7-ish. Okay, now that's this highlighted band right here. So $10,000 spent, and then we're 7x this, so it's actually going to decrease. We'd be better off looking at this line here, and we're working on looking at this line. So let's just say $10,000 spent. If we were 705, we would buy 200 billion tokens. And the burn would be 4 million versus 400 billion. Okay, so do you see the trend? As the price goes up, spending the same amount burns a lot less. And in order to keep pace with that, we would have to increase our volume, in this case, 100 times. Okay, so 100 times 10,000 ends up being a lot. I'm horrible at math in the moment, so let's just make sure, because I always call it out. Then somebody calls me out and says, "Hey, you're wrong." What happened? Give me back my number. All right, so we're gonna say at that particular rate, 10,000 times 100 should be easy math. I should have just added 2 zeros. Okay, so we have to spend $1 million to get the same rate of burn as 10,000 when this project was brand new. Okay, that really shouldn't have been that complicated. I'm sorry. So what I'm saying is, well, we need more volume. Okay, the more volume we get at a stable price, the faster the burn is. And I was able to go in and look at what's going on with a similar project. When I did this video, I did some comparisons to say, what would our burn rate be? And so if we look at Saitama currently, okay, its volume were 707, and the volume for Saitama today was 60 million when I did my show prep. Okay, so you're looking at, well, they're showing now 69 million, almost 70 million. And that is on a market cap of 3 billion-ish. Man, it's been long enough since I recorded the first session messing around with the second one that I forgot where I'm at. So it was almost 70 million on 3.5 billion. Okay. Well, there are other community projects out there. If we were to look at Shiba Inu, for instance, that's a community coin. And if we were to go back and look at their volume compared to their market cap, you'll see there were days that were absolutely crazy. So let's go to their historical data, and then we'll just start scrolling down. Okay, here's their volume and here's their market cap. So you can see days here in the not too distant past. We're here back in November. Okay, 9 billion on 26 billion in market cap. You go back a little further and there are places where their market cap was actually less than their daily volume. Okay, so we're back into October. I know there were some days. Okay, here's a for instance, October 27th, 39 billion in volume, and the market cap is 31 million. 32 billion the day before and 37 million. So what I'm saying is this hyperburn that people are talking about is pushing the volume up. So what we're anticipating with Saitamask launch is that if you want to purchase other tokens on Saitamask, you have to own Saitama, because those things will be paired with Saitama. And the tokens that are listing on Saitamask, they have to provide liquidity for their token, which means they have to buy an equal amount of Saitama for the amount of tokens that they're going to be listing on the site. So just the mere fact that we're listing 8 to 10 tokens initially and they have to provide their own liquidity, there will be quite a bit of purchasing going on there. And then as we trade in and out of those tokens, people will be purchasing them with Saitama. So it really could create a situation where we see the volume go up a lot. Okay. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but the more volume there is against a steady price, the faster the burn goes. Now, if the volume rises directly proportionate to the price increase, so for instance, if the price goes up by 10 times and the volume goes up by 10 times, then the rate of burn and reflection stays constant, because that relationship is what causes this burn rate. Okay, the price and the volume, those are the two elements that are involved. I've got whole videos on that too. But just know that the launch of Saitamask could bring dramatic volume increases, which could increase the burn, and increasing the burn decreases the supply, and therefore the supply that's remaining should have more value because there are fewer of them to count against the market cap. With that being said, I do get the question pretty frequently that, hey, we don't want to burn too much, because eventually we'll burn so much that there won't be enough for people to buy. And that's not really a concern, and I'll show you why. If we look at a coin like Bitcoin, the total circulating supply for Bitcoin is 18 million coins. And the number of holders that Bitcoin has is in the realm of 40 million wallets. So we'll just go to their holders. You can see 40 million total addresses. This is actually showing only 963,000 active addresses. And if that's the case, okay. But the bottom line is there are tons of people who own this through centralized exchanges, which even aren't counted into the holder account. I've had Bitcoin as little as $10 worth. Well, if one Bitcoin costs $46,000, for me to be able to buy $10 worth, it has to be fractionable, meaning they just take a small piece of a Bitcoin and they give it to me. And digitally, that's easy to do. If it was a physical thing, it would be difficult for me to say, I want 1/10,000th of a Bitcoin. You couldn't even scissor it down that small, but we're dealing with digital currency. It's infinitely fractionable. And Bitcoin, by the way, is the cryptocurrency that is actually used as the national currency of El Salvador. It is an official currency for the country of El Salvador. People there are using this every day to buy their household goods, to pay their rent, to pay their bills. It's their currency. You can check that out on Wikipedia under national currencies. There's like 186 fiat currencies. El Salvador uses both the US dollar and Bitcoin. So big potential things coming in terms of this concept of a hyperburn. I'm looking forward to see how it plays out. As you guys know, I'm going to be checking it every day, and I'll be giving you updates as to what the burn looks like. And if we're accelerating, we'll be able to see it no problem in the spreadsheet. So let me show you again, when we have a high volume day like we did today, our reflections are also higher than normal. So, that volume was high, like 5x what we've seen. Okay, right? We were 70,000. We were seeing numbers like 12 or 70,000, 70 million, 12 million, 10 million, 14 million, 12 million. So we're 5-6 times what we've seen here recently. Well, the reflections reflect that. I had 15 million in reflections 2 days ago, 20 million yesterday, and then today, 55 million. So almost, pushing 3x, 60 million would have been 3x on what I had yesterday. That brings my total since I've been tracking this to 2.4 billion in Saitama rewards. And if I were to update this to, we'll just say 707, my reflections are worth $172 in a little over a month. So this is a nice aspect of Saitama. It's a great reason to be a long-term holder because those rewards just pile up and pile up over time. Folks, I hope you're having an amazing night. I'm sorry for the delay of part 2. Happy to do it again. This one's actually a little more concise and maybe a little more eloquent because I had a first pass at it. Have a great evening. Catch up with me soon. We'll watch our Saitama stacks grow together.